Hi everybody, I am bumming it today. See, there's the dog, there's Walter. Got a lot going on. I haven't recorded a video in a really long time, but I'm gonna take the time to finally do so. And it might end up being long, so let's see. Let me try to get my positioning right so I can chat. What do you think? Yes, in my favorite sweatshirt right now. Before it was my Bethel College sweatshirt. Now it's this one. I think I might. I was looking at a Cube Depot one. I think I want a Cube Store one. Anyway, okay. So, how did I get into cubing? How did I get into cubing? I'll start with that because I've got so much going on to tell you that I may as well break all that other stuff down into other videos, along with the fact that I'm going to Mini Minnesota next weekend. Anyway, I'll talk about that in another video. So here's how the whole thing went down. In the description, no, in the comments section, you want to say which year you started cubing, because I started cubing in 2006. Yes, 11 years ago, I learned how to solve Rubik's Cube. And I shouldn't be pausing right now. I learned how to, okay, so I was in college. Yeah, I was in college a long time ago. It's hard to believe that the time flew by and now suddenly I was in college, like so long ago. So anyway, 2006, I was a sophomore or a junior in college, and I went to a small Christian school. My previous experience, sorry, my arm's getting tired. My previous experience with Rubik's Cubes was that I had never ever touched a cube-shaped Rubik's Cube ever, like a 3x3, ever, never, ever. Like most people say, oh, I saw those as a kid, and I'm always like, how? Like, whoever put a cube into your hand? Who had a cube? Like, where did you see that stuff? I'm not gonna like stereotype anybody and be like, as an African American, like, we don't have Rubik's Cubes in our homes, but I'm starting to conspiracy theorize that black people don't have Rubik's Cubes in their homes. I just said that on YouTube. Who cares? Because me, of all people, with two college-educated parents, had never fiddled with a 3x3 Rubik's Cube until I was in my 20s. You know, so like, what kind of crap is that? So I did, however, use a cube, and here's what it was. We had like the Homer's head 2x2, but I didn't understand conceptually that it was like a 2x2. You know, I thought it was more like an impossible toy, which I guess at the same time they are, but that's what it was to me. And eventually, you know, never got solved, disappeared, didn't care, kept it moving, you know, like, so it would have been really cool to start as a teenager, but, you know, cubing wasn't that huge in the late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, it was starting to come back, but it wasn't super huge. And like all the time that you young cubers take practicing cubing and doing all those things, I was a super band geek. Like, I was doing that stuff all the time, practicing all the time, first chair, touring Europe, touring the United States, all that crap, you know, with music, until I found cubing. Anyway, so how did it happen? You know, spent all that time in college, walked into somebody's dorm room. There was a Rubik's Cube scrambled on the table in the living room. Well, we lived in apartments. The upperclassmen can live in apartments. So I was living in an apartment, and there was a Rubik's Cube on the on the table, scrambled, and like, I didn't even take the time to try to solve it. I don't even think I made a twist on that thing. I was just like, hey, can I take this? And they were like, you know, what any person says, hell yeah, you can get that thing out of my life. You know, I mean, like, yeah, they said that I could take it. So I did. And I sat down at my computer, youtube.com, how to solve a Rubik's Cube. Dan Brown's video from way back. It's got like 30 million views now. But super old. Like, I don't even think anybody learns from it anymore. He was a Green Cross solver, and that was what I learned on. I took notes. I watched the videos again and again and again and again, And 2 weeks later, yeah, I have to really work hard to learn things. But luckily, I'm still successful. 2 weeks later, I was able to do it without looking at my notes in about 5 minutes. So, and there it was. The one thing that I didn't do was dive deeper. I used YouTube as the tool to learn how to solve Rubik's Cube, and that's all I did. After that, I shut it off for years, and I just knew how to solve Rubik's Cube. And I would have a cube box in my room, in my classrooms, kind of show the kids. It wasn't I didn't speed cube, so it wasn't a thing, and I remember this one school that I long-term subbed at. The kids were middle school age, because my second graders were kind of interested. I'd make them sit on the floor so the cubes wouldn't drop on the, so the cubes wouldn't have a high drop to the floor. But I never thought about teaching it or clubbing it or anything like that. Still had never attended a competition, and that was in 2010, 2011. Still no. And let's see. So I started out solving the cube in 5 minutes. My time dropped kind of quickly because there's a video, and I don't know how to save that video from Facebook, but on my Facebook there's a video of me solving Rubik's Cube in 3 minutes, and people are like, wow, that's crazy. And then again in 2 minutes. And now you know where things go. So that's where that's at. After that, I think that I might have, when we got our house painted, somebody could solve a cube, and beginner's method versus beginner's method. Other than that, I quit. My cube box was in the basement. I was not cubing. I was focusing on my master's program and teaching special education. Now I'm going up a hill. Get ready for the huffing and puffing. So I was working on my master's degree in special education, and I was, just using the beginner's method. I could get it done in about a minute, and until, I'd quit, and then I moved down to Omaha, Nebraska, and let's see. Well, actually, cubes were kind of a thing. I had another student teaching program where the kids really wanted cubes before I left. So I ordered from cubesforyou.com, and I would get the different colored plastics. And I think that they were what type would I get? Because I know they had type A, B, and C. I remember trying a transparent type B. Wasn't good. I think these were type C's, but green plastic, orange plastic, pink plastic, blue plastic, square shaped stickers. How fun is that? Old school stuff, C4U. Anyway, so there were some stints in there, but I didn't know about I didn't know anything about the sexy move, I didn't know any finger tricks. None. No OLLs, no PLLs, no CFOP, no nothing at that point. But people were still kind of doing cubes, still kind of ordering cubes, and then I moved to Nebraska. Because the day that happened, see the sky opened up and said, it's time to leave Minnesota. And I said, how is that even possible? I was looking in the sky, and for real, I literally, put my feet up, and floated down to Nebraska. Handed a job. Me and the other lady pushed together by some weird magnetic force, pushed together. And we would sit up and talk to other people about it, because it was super weird. And I went a school year teaching at the school, an entire year. It might have been in the spring. I don't know. It might have been spring. It might have been my second year teaching at that school. But I was co-teaching a language arts class. The 7th graders. A girl. Cubing was not in my radar. I'm going to go back to Bethel in a minute. I'm going to go back to college in a minute. The girl, she was a special needs kid. just not super special needs like when you think of special needs, but I mean like, specific learning disability, like speech language needs. And I might take off this sweatshirt. I'm wearing a Mars Cube Club t-shirt under this. She had the cube sitting on her desk, and I was like, whoa, can I re-sticker that for you? Do you need stickers? I got stickers. I could teach you how to solve it. Boom. That one little thing, that one cube in the classroom was the one spark that apparently there was gasoline everywhere, because one spark, one cube on her desk is the whole reason that any of this shit happened. Any of this. Heartland champs, 16 competitions, St. Mary Scramble, name it. It was that one girl and that one cube and that one day in class. Going back to college, the small school I went to was a Christian college. And the dorm room that I got that Rubik's Cube out of, the roommates prayed over me. You know what I mean? Like, super Christians, evangelical Christians, they'd be like, can I pray for you? And at the time, I was like, hell yeah, I got this weird, like, shadow thing, like, following me. Like, I never feel alone, like, I need to get some shit off of my back, out of my mental, whatever that aura is. And, I realized what that is now, now that I'm more consciously evolved. I know what that feeling is, and it's just the fear and the doubt, that I have in myself and in the process, like, that's all that is, and that's all I have to think about when I'm all like, "Ooh, what's there?" But at the time, they prayed over me. It was two girls, the Rubik's Cube dorm apartment girls. They was praying, and all I could see was that, but with clouds, with clouds. I saw clouds, I saw blue sky, and then I felt all that. I felt really clear and fresh after that. And then, and that was the same Rubik's Cube, and this is the Rubik's Cube dorm. So it's really interesting how, like, whenever I go somewhere and there's a Rubik's Cube sitting there, it's almost like, it turns into a safe spot. It turns into a place that I know that I can be. It's really weird. Anyway, jumping back to like 2013, back from 2006, let's jump forward 7 years later again. And once I taught her to solve the Rubik's Cube, other kids wanted to learn how to solve Rubik's Cube. And it just went from there. And this girl who people used to, talk stuff about, call her dumb, all that stuff, now she suddenly turned into a genius because she found this knack in big cubes. She's like, she wanted to solve 5x5 Mega Minx, and she was like, no, Miss Wiley, I want to solve it on my own way. I'm like, okay. So I went along with her program, all that stuff, and she hasn't competed, and so, like, before St. Mary Scramble, I had my students and everything, and I was just like weeping, like, I taught all my students and they didn't come. You guys listened to that in my previous videos, but that's essentially how it went. And then the cool thing was that because I am who I am, a lot of girls and girls of color learned to solve it. A lot of black girls, and I was able to communicate with the kids about, like, they just start talking about their lives, their parents, whether they went to therapy, whether they had a therapist or not, like, oh, my therapist lets me cube while I talk to her, it helps. I'm like, good. I'm like, that's awesome. So essentially the club started. That was the first club at the school with the girl, and she would come. Other kids would come. It was great. It was really, really fun. They were super crazy about it. So some days I'd be like, I'd put a picture of a mountain unicyclist on the door, like, bye kids, not today, you guys are crazy, essentially, because it just got out of control. Like, and Cubes for Speed was so big for me at that point because they all needed cubes, and the YJ Guan Long finally came out, eventually, and So what in the heck were kids using before? I can't remember. Like, there are a lot of gaps that I can't really fill in, like me learning CFOP and stuff and getting down to under 30 seconds. Like, I don't remember that journey, but I do remember ordering a lot of guanlongs from Cubes for Speed. I'd probably ordered about 100, I don't know, 100, 200 guanlongs by the time they closed for students, and I would sell them at face value. So it's like I'd order them in, bring them to the office. The kids would go to the office because they would come to my room looking like drug addicts, like literally like, you got some of them cubes? You got some cubes? And it's like, dude, I'm about to teach a class. Like, I'll talk to you later. I'll see you at lunch. Like, go on, kid. Like, get out of here, you fiends, these drug fiend kids, like looking for cubes, like trying to bring me money. Like, I want to order some cubes today. I found, like, I want to order this and this and this, and here's my money, so it's like I'd walk into school empty-handed, walk out with a pocket full of money from my addicts. These kids were addicts. It was so funny because the second year after that, we had, or it wasn't my third year at Monroe, or my fourth year. Anyway, as time progressed on, we always had a cube club, and people and kids started to become fake cubers. Like, this whole fake cubing thing started going on, and kids would learn finger tricks from other kids. Non-cubers would learn finger tricks from other kids, and then they started stealing Rubik's cubes. So like when I got the Outlong GT when it first came out, let's see, I went into my office, and some several curse words, some kid swapped out my brand new cube for a guanlong that was like well used and dusty and nasty. I was so pissed. I was like, what is going on? Like, I had to regulate my cubes at Cube Club super hard because kids wanted to take them. Like, everybody, it's like, so the big phrase was, everybody wanted to be a cuber, but nobody wanted to be a cuber, and so that's how that went for those years. So I worked there from the 2012-2013 school year to the 2015-16 school year, and from there we had our club for 3 years, and then I put on St. Mary Scramble, and that was when everything started going out of control. I'd contacted Chris Olson and learned how to organize a competition, and got with the WCA delegate and all those things, all those things that need to be put in place to host a competition. I started doing all that stuff. And I think for the most part, that's my cubing journey. I think that my first really good speed cube might have been, let's see, some of my first really good speed cubes that I really, really liked. I really, really, really liked the Gans 357. I thought that cube was really, really great, and that was one of my favorites for a really long time. Other than that, here's where I'm at today, finding out some weird new purpose. Like, I've got eight cubing events or activities, clubs, weekly, monthly, citywide, statewide, whatever competitions on my schedule for like the next 6 months. Like 8 things, 3 competitions, 5 clubs, and it's just like, this is what it turned into. So I made a 19-minute video, Drake. What do you think of that? What do you think of them apples? So what's going to be coming out next? Mains and goals for Mini Minnesota. What else? I don't know. The walk's over. There's my car. I'm about to go to Walgreens, pick up some Q-tips from my dad. Yes. On my Sunday. Bye. Let's do it right. Dang it. Bye.